Hello, immigration. We will need you to come back with us.
Hi everyone, I'm Inspector Zainab. In this episode of ICA Reveals, we will be following our ICA Intel Operations colleagues to conduct a raid in a restaurant to check for any immigration offenders, or IOs for short. Did you know that pre-COVID, ICA actually conducted more than 1,000 of such operations per year to serve as a deterrent against the employment of immigration offenders? So I hear that the Intel Operations officers are having a briefing right now. Follow me to find out more.
How are we going to engage the raid position now? Today we're doing a routine check to check on your workers. Can you please gather everyone in the main restaurant area? 2 employers, 2 female workers, uniform is red shirt.
What are some risks or challenges that an IOB officer faces?
Generally, whatever that we do, we will always plan first beforehand. So we will try to make it as safe as possible. For example, if it's a HDB flat that we are supposed to do an ops on, we will judge by how big the unit is. Yeah, but if it's rented out, even though HDB has the regulation that can only rent out to 6 people, but most of the time we will encounter like around 14, 15 people in the unit. So there are definitely more officers deployed for checks.
What does Intel Operations branch or IOB leverage on? Any tools or technologies?
We leverage on data analytics and our advanced equipment, like maybe.
So what are we waiting for now?
Right now we are trying to ascertain whether the SOI is really working inside the restaurant. So only a small group of officers will be deployed, and then they will check if, let's say, they spot the SOI, then we will make our move.
Grandmother, you know why we arrest you?
She said she
You overstay already.
apply.
You know why? Yeah, apply. I know. So you know that you no more pass already lah. Yeah. You overstay already lah. You know lah. Yeah. Your boss also know lah. Yeah.
Hello, immigration. Yeah, we're doing checks downstairs and upstairs here.
Immigration.
Yeah.
I'm the owner of the place.
Okay, can we have some identification first? Are you the owner downstairs as well?
This is our brother-in-law.
Your brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So we checked his identity that he's overstaying. So we have to bring him back.
Huh?
Yeah, we have to bring him back with us. We will also need you to come back with us because you're the owner of this place.
For these operations, right, the subject was very compliant and cooperative. Is this commonplace?
We always prepare for any subjects that will turn hostile. For this case, because it's a kitchen, so we try to take the danger out of the picture by asking the subject to come out, switch off everything first so that he'll be away from all the knives and sharp objects.
So other than illegal employment cases, what other cases do IOB deals with?
Okay, so this is an E case, employment case. So we have harboring cases, we have marriage of convenience, MOC we call it, routine ops, and we also join ops with like SPF, CMB to deter all the IOs from coming in and overstaying.
Honestly, I was a little anxious being involved in these covert operations because I didn't know what to expect, from how the subject would react to how dangerous the situation would be. Even more so when the operations was done in a public setting where we have little control over what happens. However, my initial anxiety disappeared when I saw how thoroughly prepared our IOB officers were in terms of their planning, where the safety aspects were covered and the roles of the officers were thoroughly prepared. The subject is back where we will do our second part of our investigation. So let's head over there to find out more. Hi Jasper.
Hi Zainab.
So what's going to happen to the subject now?
The subject is currently being detained at our repatriation branch, and thereafter an investigation officer will commence his investigations, which includes screenings, gathering of evidence, and conducting interviews and statement recording. So once the investigations has concluded, we will refer the matter to AGC with recommendations. AGC will then review the case and decide the next course of action.
Okay, so typically, what would happen to an offender if he were to commit an offence?
Okay, so this depends on the investigation findings. The offender may be charged in court under the Immigration Act. If the offender is found to have overstayed in Singapore for more than 90 days or illegally entering Singapore, the penalties are imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months, plus a minimum of 3 strokes of the cane. And if the person is not punishable with caning, he or she will be punished with a fine in lieu of the caning.
So what about his employer? Would he be liable of an offence?
Yes, any person found employing or harbouring an immigration offender would also have committed an offence under the Immigration Act.
What other cases does ICA handle?
So besides those that you have mentioned, ICA also deals with offences under the Passport Act, National Registration Act and the Registration of Births and Deaths Act. So some of the common offences under the Passport Act includes improper use or illegal possession of Singapore passports or foreign travel documents. And many may not be aware, it is also an offence if one fails to report his or her change of residential address within 28 days under the National Registration Act.
Have you ever faced subjects who refuse to answer questions or provide misleading information?
Yes, we do face suspects who are uncooperative, and as an investigation officer, we are trained in interview techniques. It is important for us to remain calm and in control of the interview. So we will gather all information, establish facts based on the evidence, and thereafter verify these facts when interviewing subjects.
Many people have the misconception that ICA officers are only stationed at checkpoints to perform checks on passports and goods in conveyances. Though this is an integral aspect of our work, our job scope is not limited to just that. In fact, ICA officers have a wide range of roles that includes intelligence operations, investigation, and prosecution to enforce our laws on immigration and registration to deter any undesirable persons from entering and staying in Singapore. It is also important to ensure that the immigration offenders are also dealt with in accordance to the law. Thank you so much for joining me on the adventure today, and I'll be seeing you at the next episode of ICA Reveals.